Hello friends, welcome to the session on electoral reforms in India. India is the largest and one of the most vibrant democracies of the world. The strength of democratic institutions can be judged by the nature of electoral process of a country. Free and fair electoral process is a precondition of representative democracy. The role of political parties is very important in democracy. The link between common citizens and individual politicians is mediated by the political parties. It is obvious that a democracy, particularly a parliamentary and a representative democracy, is inconceivable without political parties. Political parties are integral to the governance of a democratic society. They perform the critical function of mobilizing and organizing public opinion and function as a link between the public at large and the government, particularly its political wing. Why do we need electoral reforms in India? Electoral reforms can make the democratic process more inclusive by bringing more people under the electoral process, reduce corruption which is pervasive, and make India a stronger democracy. The process of electoral reforms focuses mainly on broadening the core meaning of democracy and making it more citizen friendly. Let me share some facts as far as elections are concerned. Globally, India spends second highest after the United States in elections. US presidential elections cost anywhere between 7 to 8 billion dollars. In India, $6 billion, that is 40,000 crores, were spent in 2014 Lok Sabha elections alone. An estimated $8.7 billion, that is 60,000 crores, were spent in 2019 Lok Sabha elections. A candidate spends on an average 5 to 6 crores to fight Lok Sabha seat. What makes electoral process so expensive? It is because of growing costs of regular political activities, that is paying wages to party workers and maintaining office spaces, escalating campaign costs, that is campaign materials, communication, social media spending, size of constituencies, that is larger populations means candidates have to spend more, stiff political competition as the winning margins are narrower, disappearing traditional vote banks because of new generation of voters, then it is weaker political finance regulations and also poor enforcement, and finally it could be also due to easy availability of money and resources due to high economic growth. Is Indian democracy preserve of wealthy? The candidates' disclosures, including those made for the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, show that our democracy has gradually become the preserve of the wealthy. According to a report by the Association of Democratic Reforms, in the elections, nearly 19% of candidates had pending criminal cases against them, while 13% of the candidates had cases of a serious nature such as murder, attempt to murder, rape or crimes against women. Meanwhile, 29% of the candidates had assets worth rupees 1 crore or more, that is an increase from 16% in the 2009 elections. A defining characteristic of a good democracy is representativeness. That is, whether every citizen has a sense that he or she has a say in how the society is being governed. If a candidate is elected from a Lok Sabha constituency on the basis of 15% votes, how can he or she be truly regarded as the people's representative. The Law Commission of India recommended in its 170th report that a candidate should not be declared elected unless he or she gets 50% plus one of the votes cast. What has been the role of Supreme Court as far as electoral reforms are concerned? As a watchdog of democracy, the Supreme Court attempts in reforming India's electoral process are noteworthy. In 2002, the Supreme Court made it mandatory for candidates to disclose their criminal background, if any, along with their financial and educational background, so as to enable the Election Commission to publish such information on its website. It was through Supreme Court's direction in 2013, the Election Commission inserted the none of the above nota button in the electronic voting machines for the first time during the 2014 Lok Sabha elections. Let us discuss the major issues in electoral politics of India. Money power, that is, candidates have to spend crores of rupees for campaigning, publicity, etc. Most candidates far exceed the permissible limit of expenses. Muzzle power, use of violence, criminalization of politics and politicization of criminals. Political parties are also happy as long as they have a winnable candidates. Political parties feel criminals in elections for funds and in return provide them with political patronage and protection. Candidates float non-serious candidates in elections to cut a good portion of the votes that would otherwise have gone to rival candidates. Voting on caste lines is prevalent in the country, and this is a serious blotch on democracy and equality. Communal polarization poses a serious threat to the Indian political ethos of pluralism, parliamentarianism, secularism, and federalism. People enter the political arena for making money and retaining their money and power. So there is lack of moral values in politics. Electoral reforms in India can be categorized into two phases: electoral reforms pre-2000 and electoral reforms post-2000. In electoral reforms pre-2000 phase, some important issues include lowering of voting age from 21 to 18 years, introducing electronic voting machines in 1998 during the state elections of Delhi, Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan, which have been widely used since then. Restrictions imposed on a candidate not to contest from more than 2 constituencies, by-elections to any house of parliament or state legislature will now be held within 6 months of the occurrence of the vacancy in that house. Some major issues pertaining to electoral reforms post-2000 include ceiling on election expenditure, restriction on exit polls, that is, the EC issued a statement before the 2019 Lok Sabha election saying that exit poll results could be broadcast only after the final phase of the elections were over, expanding the ambit of postal ballot voting in the country. Awareness creation, the government decided to observe January 25th as National Voters' Day to mark the Election Commission's founding day. Political parties need to report any contribution in excess of 20,000 to the Election Commission for claiming income tax benefit, declaring of criminal antecedents, assets, etc. by the candidates is required, and declaring false information in the affidavit is now an electoral offence. Apart from this, there are many other issues as far as electoral reforms are concerned. Is state funding a safeguard for democracy? State funding is expected to safeguard democracy by reducing the dependence of political parties on money bags. It is well known that money bags make political contributions on quid pro quo basis, and this increases the chances of political corruption. However, the connection between money power and political parties cannot be expected to cease simply because additional funds are available from the state. Regarding the sources of funding of political parties, there are two ways of finding out how much and from whom political parties get their funds. In case a political party wants to avail of 100% tax exemptions which it is entitled to under section 13A of the Income Tax Act, it has to maintain a factual account of its income and expenditure and file income tax returns. Political parties also have to submit to the Election Commission a statement on every donation of rupees 20,000 and above that they receive. What is the electoral bonds scheme and what is its impact on the quality of our democracy? Electoral bonds are banknotes that donors can purchase at the State Bank of India and donate to political parties. The parties must encash the note within 15 days. The scheme says that the designated branches of the State Bank of India authorized to sell electoral bonds will collect the complete KYC particulars, that is, know your customer particulars of the person buying the electoral bond. It also says that the State Bank of India will not reveal the buyer's identity unless there is a court order in a criminal case asking for such information. In this session, we try to discuss some issues pertaining to electoral reforms. To conclude, any interest in strengthening democracy should aim at nothing short of re-establishing the weakening linkages between political processes and the rights of citizens. Electoral reforms in India is a continuous process to make our democracy vibrant. Thank you.